If My Hero Academia was the MCU of the anime world, then My Hero Vigilante or Illegals would be like the Netflix series versions of that. I believe, as a longtime fan of the manga for Vigilantes, that this is a love story to those grittier stories of comics, like the Netflix shows. This 15-volume manga was actually made in 2016 by the editor of My Hero Academia because they wanted a spin-off series. But each chapter was actually supervised and edited by Horikoshi himself. So who are the Naruhata Vigilantes? And we have to start with the main character of this manga, the Crawler. So who is the Crawler? The Crawler is a vigilante, but outside of that, he is Haimawari Koichi. Koichi is a guy who always wanted to be a hero, but he never actually made it to the hero exam, so he kind of came to terms with never getting his license. So he was content to attend university and work part-time job and do vigilante work on the side. And he's okay with this because he fully believes he doesn't need a pro hero license to help people. They have a rule where like people who aren't pro heroes shouldn't use their quirk. He doesn't follow that anyway. He uses his like to get to work. So he doesn't really care that much, not in like a anarchy way. He just doesn't see it the same way that a lot of people do. But even though he kind of acts this way, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to be appreciated and recognized for the hero work he does. His quirk is gliding, and it ends up letting him use at least 3 of his limbs to kind of like glide across surfaces or like up surfaces. So he's just kind of, so that's why he's called a crawler, because he's always like leaning over. And it gives him enhanced speed and maneuverability, and I believe they do give him like force fields at some point. Koichi is very kind and selfless, but he is super socially awkward, so he ends up kind of coming off as like creepy, even though he really doesn't mean to. And one of his main traits is that he idolizes All Might, and his hero costume is actually like a bunch of different All Might hoodies that he cycles through. Because this is a prequel, he did it first and Deku is just copying him, right? And while he is doing his vigilante work, he eventually runs into our second vigilante, Knuckleduster. And remember when I said that this is kind of like the Netflix series is? He is our Punisher. Pretty much to a T. He is a very big love letter to the Punisher. Which, if you don't know, Horikoshi does love Marvel. He loves Spider-Man. He loves like all this stuff. So seeing these characters that are references to characters, that makes total sense, especially in the Spider-Man world. Punisher came out in a Spider-Man comic, so definitely makes sense. Especially because Zero in our main series has a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, and then Aizawa also fights like Spider-Man with the web slingers with his scarf. There's a lot of love in this show for, you know, superheroes of the Western world. So Knuckleduster is our gruff, rough old man who used to actually be a pro hero himself. He was known as the high-speed hero Overclock in Japan, and he was also known as Hyper Quadfist in China. So he has a really strong sense of justice because he was a pro hero before, but because he got his quirk stolen, he was no longer able to do pro hero work. So he became a vigilante. And because he is still such a strong fighter, even without his quirk, which was that he could kind of like perceive himself going faster, so he went faster. So it's kind of like Quicksilver and the Flash and all of them. So it doesn't really stop him from fighting because he would still have to be strong as a pro hero, so he does still use that. He just can't use his quirk. But he does this to stop the cycling of trigger, which is a drug that is in Vigilante. This drug is dangerous and extremely addictive, and it actually has a sign of people being addicted to it because their tongues are black, which is the way that the Vigilantes end up finding like their trail, like their leads, because their tongues are black. While Knuckleduster is extremely intimidating and violent, he's also a very loving father, and that's where I'm gonna stop that backstory because it's going to hurt and I don't want to spoil it for you. Nothing from me. They're not getting anything from me. The last member of the Naruhata Vigilantes is Popstep, and I adore her. So she is a high schooler by day who ends up using her quirk to perform pop idol shows. She's not great at it, but she does really enjoy getting dressed up and actually like performing, and then she uses her quirk, which is just jumping really high, to get away when the police show up because she is still doing vigilanteism because she is using her quirk without a permit or with a hero license. So she is still breaking the law, so she still has to make fast getaways, but she's actually a pretty successful like pop idol. The other thing about her is she is the kid that Koichi saved that made him not able to go to school to get his hero license. Because of stopping to save her, he ended up running late and was not able to get into the school. So she kind of carries that guilt with her when she realizes that they are connected in that way. So while they might not be the strongest team of vigilantes, they're actually really well rounded out because Knuckleduster does a lot of the fighting and he'll end up just beating on all their villains. And then Koichi will actually do support because he's able to not fight as well, but he is very good at supporting Knuckleduster in this. And Popstep does a lot of the groundwork. She ends up distracting villains. She ends up doing a lot of the evacuation of crowds and of civilians, and also does first aid. So they're actually a super well-rounded team for being just a couple of vigilantes that end up hanging out together. But I'm super excited for this anime because honestly, I liked Vigilante a lot more than some of My Hero, because I do like the pro heroes a lot, and I really like that we get to see their backstories because this is a prequel. So we get to see like Midako in high school. We get to see why Aizawa became a teacher. We get to see what Fat Gum did when he was helping out the police, because they definitely like minorly dropped it in there. This is actually where Mike and Aizawa's friend Shirakumo's backstory was actually first in, because they did not actually have it in the main plot, in the main series. They actually had it as a chapter in Vigilantes. I hope you like this, and if you want to see more anime things, and if you want to see more My Hero things, that show is very near and dear to my heart and also got me back into loving superheroes after a while, so that's really fun. I especially like talking about the pro heroes' backstories, so let me know. Who is your favorite My Hero character? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this, be sure to like and comment and hit that bell notification and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Stay geeky. Bye-bye!